I'm from Santa Monica, California. I'm Trey Henry, by the way. I'm from Santa Monica, California, and the style of music we create is up for discussion.
I'm Tierney Sutton. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
I'm Christian Jacob. I'm from France.
Ray Brinker from Annville, Pennsylvania.
Kevin Axe from Burbank, California.
I don't know that we've stayed the course. You got to define that one,
Right.
huh?
Well, we've been
stayed the
together
course?
23 years. That's some course staying.
I would agree with that.
I'd say we led each other down this path.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
for
We
sure.
met each other in the early 90s and just kept going.
I think it almost gets to a point where your individual path that you're seeking is obfuscated by being in this band. It sort of becomes sort of a collective consciousness.
Right.
So the choices and decisions and aesthetic directions we go in aren't really personal. They're more group oriented.
I think the past drew itself.
Yeah.
I think that's true. And I think all of us, when we give ideas to this band for arrangements and whatnot, we have the idea of what this band is when we're doing it. So it
Right.
alters all of us quite a bit.
Perpetuates itself.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Henry is my biggest influence.
No, when it comes to creativity.
So,
Oh, I'm not so creative.
I mean, I think we were just saying how much we influence. we were just talking about how much we influence each other, and for years I've been saying in interviews that these guys are pretty much my biggest musical influences, and definitely influence in creativity.
Yeah, the band's kind of developed a sound of its own, and I know for me personally, it's changed the way that I play. We've talked about this before. We've all sort of, morphed into what we are, just in terms of individuals and as the band together.
Yeah, we're all a member of the Los Angeles music community, and I think we all work in a lot of different projects, and all of that stuff plays into that development. But I think all of us feel most at home with this. At least I do.
yeah. I think I agree with what they've all said. It's sort of, we've developed this collective consciousness that I guess William Butler Yeats would probably approve of.
Wait, and why is that? You gotta educate me.
Because when we were talking about synchronicity last night, you weren't paying attention.
I was
The
interrupting
notion
you.
of synchronicity, this Carl Jung and the song meshes that concept with this concept of collective consciousness, which was espoused by
Swarm theory.
Going now, you're supposed to go.
Ribbit.
Anyway, well, the point I was trying to make was that I can't remember the question.
Can I answer the question? Each individual has an influence which translates into the ear, into what you hear. When you play what you hear should be played. And then when every individual does that, that's what creates the sound of the group.
Yeah.
That's actually what I was going to say, believe it or not. It really was.
Swarm theory.
It's definitely different.
What do you guys think is
Well-
different about it, besides the fact that Trey
I
was
think
the boss?
I think in the past we've done everything very collaboratively, which is, it's a process. It takes a long time to do that. And we weren't afforded as much time this time, so one person, it seemed most logical that one person would sort of take the lead and basically organize, is really basically what it was, is organize. Still equally collaborative, because everybody brought their ideas and stuff, but then I was the chosen one to sort of organize all the ideas, put them in order, bring them back, we'd play through the stuff, that stuff that worked, we kept, the stuff that didn't, we'd work with it. And after you filter everything through that process, you have a record. That's different than how we've done it in the past.
Well, I also think that you are being a little over generous, in the sense that most of the pieces of paper with dots on them that were provided to the band were basically your arrangements and your ideas for jumping off, most of them.
Many of them.
And so the preponderance, let's say, the preponderating share
But the interesting thing about that is, after all these years,
Yeah, you know who we are.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're all so aware of each other that
Exactly.
I'm just, Christian's gonna play this, so I'll write something like that out. And then,
Right. So there is something of that.
It's also the first record that's not the Great American Songbook.
That's true.
Right, that's the
Picked a
big
pop
difference. Yeah.
artist who is a jazz musician for all intents and purposes. But that was different.
I don't think he bluffed this time. I really have to make him mine.
We literally, after we finished the gig, Trey and Ray and I went to a restaurant and we talked about exactly that for 2 hours.
There was some tequila.
There was some
I
tequila.
am not
Tequila
too
was had.
proud to admit.
It's the $64,000 question right now. Literally,
It's the Wild West.
yeah. It's that the infrastructure and the means by which music is distributed, everything, all bets are off. There's a whole new infrastructure being developed. We don't know what it's going to be, and frankly, rather than waiting to see what it's going to be, we're taking the tact of why don't we determine what it's going to be ourselves, and
Drive the bus.
exactly.
Yeah, personally, all my life I always had a zero concept about the business side of music, and then lately with all the change in the business, I felt well, here's my opportunity, but no, I missed it.
You have not missed it.
No, it's
The technology side is interesting, though, I think, because
Pluses and minuses,
yeah,
for sure.
we were able to do this project from beginning to end at a relatively low price. I mean, by history standards, incredibly low. And a lot of that is due to technology. We're still capturing virtuosity, that's the goal. But you don't need to do so much to do that anymore. And the technology has a lot to do with that.
I personally don't get the vinyl thing at all.
I love vinyl.
And there you go.
Love
So,
it. Love it.
I don't
and
understand.
it's making a huge
I know it
comeback.
is. I know it's
I was
making
in
a
a
huge.
hipster bar yesterday, and sitting on the bar is a turntable.
I know.
And a box of records, and people are going up and picking things out and putting them on. It's-
Well, I mean, I
People write me all the
understand. I understand the fact that because it's coming back from the MP3. I mean, think about all the money that's made that is spent into making music. You go in a studio and you get the best possible sound, and where does it end? On an MP3, which is like
Yeah,
the
audio
worst
quality is
possible
not
audio.
great.
So a vinyl compared to MP3, it's
Sounds
definitely incredible.
But what about
Not-
HD,
not the question,
WAV files or
between-
digital files?
Then I'm
all
with
digital
you,
files
with you for that.
are by nature missing some information just because it's binary. When you're
Right,
listening
the
to an
MP3.
analog to a vinyl, you're hearing everything.
Is actually
plus-
the sound?
Some of that.
No, but is the sound of the vinyl actually, there's something there that isn't in the wave house?
Yes,
Educate me, because
yes.
No, that's true.
All of the sound is there.
is that really
In
true?
the digital,
Analog.
the digital product.
That is up
there
for
are
I
discussion.
thought that it wasn't true, but
That's
if
why
it
all-
is, it is.
They sound different.
But that's
from one.
up for discussion, and I don't.
But the streaming thing is interesting.
This couch isn't sure we believe
We
that. I don't
we are
think
not. I'm not qualified
I
to
don't know.
answer this.
The streaming thing is interesting because I love having access to all that music. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, that's what I.
But
it's-
there's something not good about it. And it's basically what we're talking about here is the quality of sound that you're listening to when you're listening to streaming music is as bad
No,
as
it's
it
not
gets.
okay.
Yeah.
It also devalues the music.
Exactly.
Everything is virtually free.
That's what I was going to say. When back in the old days, especially when the vinyl days, when you heard that an artist was going to come out with a recording, it was a big deal, and it was like you couldn't wait for that release date. And then you went down to your record store, and you had this physical thing, this totem, that with the artwork that was like really prevalent, and it was a significant part of the aesthetic of what it
Liner
is.
notes
You
to
took,
explain
you had
what
liner
was
notes, the
going on.
credits, and that thing that you took home felt precious. And you didn't listen to it all at once. You played half of it, and then it ran to the end, and you went, "Oh my God, that was incredible!" And you flipped it over and played the other side. There was a whole ritual
Yeah.
to this whole process. And now that's completely gone with streaming, making everything completely accessible. It's like diamonds are incredibly valuable because they're so hard to find. But if all of a sudden, tomorrow they find that, underneath Santa Monica there's a gigantic pit full of diamonds, and billions of carats, they're not valuable anymore, and they lose the preciosity.
Preciosity.
I just made it.
I like
I love that.
Thank you, man.
It was very cool. It was a great experience.
We'll talk about how it came about.
Yeah, and Clint called me one day and asked if Christian and I would like to come over and see his new movie and see how he was using some music that we had done. And I think neither of us really knew what that meant, but we went over and screened the film, which was great, and we were both very moved by it. And we realized afterwards that they wanted us to write a score. And we had done this as a band about 10 years before, and we knew that we could do it. And so we asked them point blank, is that what you want us to do? And they said, yeah. And pretty much 48 hours after they told us, less than 48 hours after they told us that's what they wanted, we were in the studio with Clint, recording to picture, with him guiding the process as we went. And it was really, really amazing.
It was really interesting to collaborate with somebody else.
It was great, and we were ready for it because of all of our years of collaboration.
Yeah, and I sort of was nervous. I thought, well, this is a big personality here. How's this going to work? And it was easy. It was easy.
And his trust was really
that's why.
what was great. It's like even he wrote the one theme,
Right.
and when he showed it to me, he said, "Oh, but you don't have to use it." So
No, he was completely humble about all of that from the beginning, and very trusting, and that's the interesting thing about him. He is just a gentle person, and he's got a clear idea in his mind of what he wants, and so he guided us quite a bit, but it was always with a sense of clarity and gentleness and
Subtlety.
respect. Yeah, it was
He's kind
really
of noted
lovely.
for that in his entire filmmaking process. He's known for hiring people that he absolutely implicitly trusts from a creative end, so that they can make suggestions and be part of that creative process of filmmaking and not feeling like they're going to be second guessed. Clint has them on the set because they're great at what they do, and he's going to let them do what they do without his interference.
And he asked us a lot of times, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yes. It was really something. I wish the whole band had been there at the dub stage the one day that I was there for it, because basically what would happen is they would show a 20-minute reel, and all the other people were there, the dialects editors and the sound editors and all
effects.
the rest, and all that stuff. There's like this phalanx of people in the front at their machines doing their thing, and I'm sitting back with Christian behind, and Clint is sitting in front of us. And they'd show a 20-minute reel, and he'd turn back to us, especially me because I had missed the first day, and he says, "So, what do you think?" And I would say, it's amazing.
Unacceptable.
It's really great, but there was one cue. I was just thinking, there's this one cue, and then he would almost always say, "Oh yeah, I thought there was. Can we find that, please?" And it was just basically us and Clint fighting for the music. It wasn't us
the
fighting
music
with
had
Clint.
disappeared, kind of.
Yeah, but it mostly came back, and what they did was so beautiful that most of the time Christian and I would kind of look at each other and go, it's nice the way it is, and we were there to support
the film. Yeah,
the film.
of course. Yeah.
And so, but I really felt deeply that our process of doing what we do for a couple of decades, and the detachment that process has taught us, put us in a position. I was talking to Antonio Sanchez about doing film scores because he did the Birdman score, and he said, "I don't know if I can stand it anymore," because he said, "You don't have any control over what happens." And I thought, wow, we were so ready for that. We were so
used to that.
We're so used to it. We were just like, we knew exactly how it was going to work for the most part, and we're really delighted with it.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the fact that the music that did get lost is going to reappear on a soundtrack release.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
Coming up
That's
in
beautiful.
in the fairly near future.
you know, I'm often asked what is it about the band and what is it about LA musicians, which I'd really like to say something about. I think there are a lot of wonderful musicians in the world, a lot of virtuosic, amazing players. This band is a special gift for me because they were willing to be part of a process of many, many years. And the virtuosity that exists in the LA studios is a detached virtuosity, is what I would call it. And that, when you're a singer without a huge voice, who's coming to the table with something that's more subtle than maybe some of my peers, if I had virtuosic players that were just gonna overwhelm me, I wouldn't have been able to develop as a singer at all. And I've had experiences where I've gone into musical situations and I can tell right away that the person I'm playing with is not listening to me and really doesn't care what I have to say. They're just doing their good thing. And their good thing is good, but I don't feel heard, and that subtle interaction that makes something that's more than the sum of its parts can't grow out of that. And that's something that these guys have in spades, and when I don't get that, now I'm like the princess and the pea. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, well, that's not just for you. That's
Right.
Yeah, we've been all mutually spoiled.
and we've all worked with a lot of other people, you know, and there's those moments that are great, and there's moments that are difficult. But, you know, I know just working with Tierney all these years, I've worked with so many singers and recorded, and she spoils you just because she's all the intangibles, all the weird stuff that you can't explain to somebody. That you don't really, you're not even aware that it's happening until it's not there, and that's an interesting thing.
But I think all of us have that thing of being affected and influenced by each other
Yeah.
in this way that makes you feel heard
Yeah.
when you're part of the unit.
Right.
And when you do what you do with a group of people and you don't feel heard, it's like being in a relationship where you don't feel heard. It's painful, it's weird. And because we have this very intimate thing where, you know, if one of you guys does something radically different, I'm hopefully gonna hear it and be influenced by it, and everyone will be. And that's a different feeling than you often can
It's
get.
the same kind of vulnerability too, because you're laying a lot of yourself on the line when you're playing, you know, when you're part of this collaborative process on such a deep level.
Yeah.
Plus, there's an intangible chemistry of playing with people you play well with together. You can play with some amazingly great players, and you just don't have a simpatico. You don't play well
It's true.
together. And I mean, Trey and Christian and I met on Maynard Ferguson's band ages ago, and have been playing together since then. And Kevin and I have worked together for 30 years or something.
And that's one of the first things that I said to you guys, because I met Trey and Ray first, and I said, who would you like to play with on piano? I knew it wasn't a matter of Eli Whitney's interchangeable parts, where you just say, okay, here, I've got a great pianist. I knew that was going to be key.
Smart.
Do you have a favorite track?
I never have a favorite track, but I always have a couple of tracks.
My favorite track
Go for it.
is
Yeah,
Every
by all
Breath You
means.
Take, and here's
I was
why.
going to say that.
When we put it together, it was the one, I mean, I had doubts about most of it.
It was born early, too.
It was born early, and it had been performed, and I didn't like the way, well, we talked about it, neither one of us liked the way it was going. But we went into the studio to record it, and it was the only one where I actually thought to myself, okay, this is just not gonna work.
Something's
That was the
wrong.
only one. There's 14 tracks. That was the one where I was like, nope, it's not gonna work. And then in the course of an afternoon, it went from not working to being really great. That's my favorite one.
You know,
I know
and
that feeling. Yeah.
Why did it become great?
well, and you know what's amazing about that, and this is one of the things that differentiates this band, is that as a singer, there's a lot of great instrumental bands that back up singers, okay? But if you don't let the singer tell the story with the words, it doesn't work.
Right.
And the magic of our arrangements is partly the virtuosity that you guys bring to the table, but it's also how those arrangements are part of the story of what the words are actually saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Keith Jarrett said to me, I love what your band does because your arrangements aren't clever. And you know what I mean. And in my view, what that means is not doing something that just can't really work with the text.
Right.
And as a singer, and that was my first problem with Every Breath You Take, is that there was this sort of joy to it. And I thought, how can you be joyous if you're singing from the point of view of a stalker?
Yeah.
Why is it happy? What is this? And I don't get this. What's going on? And then you came to me and said,
Yeah, no, it's a lullaby. It's a lullaby. It should be sung as a lullaby. And then she started to cry.
well, but it's not just a lullaby, because the very first lyric that you sing is, since you've gone,
Yeah.
I've been lost without a trace. So we're talking about our adult children growing up
We
and
called it
leaving
the
the nest.
empty nest lullaby.
The empty nest lullaby. So that's really important. It's not just looking at a baby in a crib. It's got to be seeing the whole denouement of the life of a child.
Yeah.
You know,
So that's my favorite.
it's pretty great.
Good.
Good choice.
I like 7 Days. I like 7 Days, and I like the little thing you do is magic.
Yeah.
There's something about the duet that Ray and Tierney do together. It's just
Tell the story about
it. Just
it.
makes you smile.
Tell the story about every little
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Dinosaur.
One take,
At the
very
end.
last thing of a couple days.
And you
Oh,
had
yeah.
got back
Dog
from Japan a day earlier?
I think so, yes.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
right?
we were
Totally
basically
jet.
sight
just
reading
got
it.
back from.
I felt like I was on heroin.
Yeah, we were sight reading it.
That explains it.
Yeah.
We were just sight
And
reading
and
it.
it was a throwaway take. I was like, this is never gonna work. This is not happening. I wasn't even thinking about it.
But I think there was a part of me that was just so happy to be singing something that actually was a little bit part of my DNA,
Yeah, yeah.
because that was such a big hit and I kind of knew it.
Yeah.
So even though it had metric modulations and a couple of little weird things, I was just so happy to be singing something that wasn't something I had to absorb and learn right there.
And it was swinging.
Yeah.
And it was swinging. Yeah.
But-
The good one, 7 Days though has this arc to it.
Yeah, yeah.
That just,
Yeah, I like
that's
7 Days.
the way it
That might be my favorite.
That's a beautiful arrangement.
Well, I like the dinosaur, and actually
I'm surprised to hear you say
and
that.
I love the dinosaur.
You're
and
challenged by the dinosaur.
But I
It's
love the
hard- it's
dinosaur.
hard.
It
Well,
just
you
can't be
gotta
too
explain what
fast.
a
I think you
dinosaur
said-
is.
Yeah.
Walking in your footsteps. And I've also come to really love Fields of Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's one that, in order to love it, it's only starting to happen now, I have to say. And the reason is I had to really get inside the lyric. The lyric is so subtle. It's really beautiful, but it's really subtle. At first, it just sounds like the same thing said over
Barley
and over
Hills over
again.
and over.
But it's not. It's subtle and it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
And Christian's arrangement is the same, subtle and very beautiful. So it took a really long time. Some things take a longer time. But that's one of the things I like about working in this band, is that I know, because the arrangements are challenging, there's going to be an arc. It's going to take a while. Some of them you fall in love with right away, and it's like, oh, this is great, and it's fun to do right off the bat. And others, it's going to take a while for
Some
them
gestation.
to, yeah.
Yeah, we're already it's taking a life, you know.
Yeah.
We did
Oh, yeah, yeah.
one-
Oh, it's hysterical. It's hysterical to hear it all.
one live show already. Now after 4, it's gonna be.
Every move.
www.tierneysutton.com.
Woohoo!
ChristianJacob.com.
RayBrinker.com.
TreyHenry.com.
KevinX.com, but there's nothing there.
Which might be the coolest thing.
Yeah.